Okay, welcome back. It is 8/16 of 2015. We're going to take a look at the next essay in the Cambridge Companion to Brentano. We're going to look at K. Mulligan and his essay, Brentano's Philosophy of Mind, from 66 to 98. It's really an excellent presentation of the philosophy of mind in 3 parts. We're going to look at genetic psychology, descriptive psychology, and explanatory psychology. So we look at the first moment of genetic psychology in primary presentation. It establishes the laws of empirical relation from taking the thing as the intuited thing and raising it to the topoid in its proper interrelated place. Now, under descriptive psychology, which is the central area for Brentano, or secondary presentation, the philosophy of mind addresses conceptual truth, and we want to raise topoids to signs of deeper signification. We begin addressing classification and coexistence. But descriptive psychology is prior to any explanatory psychology. Substance, as the universal, is borne forward through dialogue and judgment at the Dokounta-Threshold, Aristotle's Dokounta-Threshold. And as judgments, the mental phenomena are particular accidents because they are judgments of an individual shared at the threshold. But it's in a quest toward reaching the universality of substance through intersubjective dialogue. Now, as perceiver, we're going to transition to ideator, or the individual who examines and critiques through a filter of the idea of the true. So always at work with our frenetic stance of our particular filter of idea when we engage in dialogue and judgment concerning the notion of the true for each of the topoids in order to raise them to signs of signification. We deal with the presentations of the topoids, we deal with the judgments concerning those topoids, and we deal with emotional affectations that are attached to those judgments. The concept of erkentness comes up here from the Greek at the Dokounta-Threshold, which speaks of the intuited thing becoming internalized as a topoid with properties in order to be examined as a psychognostic object. Rather than simply a physical object, we internalize it as a psychognostic object with properties in its interrelatedness. But the whole process of raising a interrelated topoid to a sign takes place through noticing, and right here Mulligan does a great job because Brentano is not so systematic, but Mulligan systematizes judgment. I love this. Judgment is a 6-step process in Brentano. It begins as an apodictic, where we deny the impossible first, and then an assertoric, we offer our supposed positing of the true as our possibility. Then we move to self-evidence by employing analogous comparisons with the dialogue at the threshold. We sometimes make a blind judgment, which is just based on intersubjectivity as that which is typical. We always do consider our motivational base and the a priori knowledge and knowing that we have stored in our motivational base. Then we will reach that final noetic step of awareness of the topoid's deeper significance concerning the notion of the true, which is the noetic moment. So it's apodictic, assertoric, self-evident, blind, and motivated, and then we finally reach the noetic, conceptual, deeper significance of the topoid and assign it an abstract name or sign. Our intentional stance at the Dokounta-Threshold is no longer recto face-on as an intuition, but it is obliquo, or angled spiritually. Through the 6 ways of judging, we raise topoids to a lexical network of signs of deeper signification. So what I love about the second moment, and I think is key to his essay, is he gives us a systematic look at judgment. as a 6-step process for Brentano, and I thought it was really it's true to the original work. It just systematizes it, which I love. And so finally, we're going to take a look at the third moment. Now, in the third moment, we're going to look at explanatory psychology, or the noetic presentation of the thought as system. Noema are the signs designed as a sign model. We take up an obliquo stance. After acquiring the lexical network of signs, we take up the obliquo modality, or angled spiritual perceiving, and we enter into developing a systematic ordering, or forming a sign model, at the 3 levels of mind: the conative preferring, the affective teleosis, or eschatology, and the cognitive noema structuring of the true model. Now, under conative preferring, spatial, first at the level of spatial, in the spatial realm, we grasp the directedness of secondary presentation. We view the topoids and their relatedness. But secondly, at the level of value, topoids are raised to signs, but then we evaluate the signs with regard to their future possibility of value toward the good. We end up with a lexical network of valued signs, of those signs that we feel contribute to the notion of the good, the noble good. But we take those valued signs, which are abstracted value signs, and we consider them with their dialectical relation to circumstances, to the actual world, and we can raise them to relational valued signs. And that's when the idea emerges, the preference for that which may be outside our powers of actuality. Therefore, the ideal notion of the true emerges. So this very first moment of conative preferring is important because we form our idea of the true. We form our ideal, abstract idea of the true with our ideal valued signs that have been extracted out of our lexical network of signs. We now have a lexical network of ideal valued signs that are formed in an ideal sign model that is loosely constructed because it is in abstract form at this point. It's strictly an abstraction of singular abstract valued signs. So somehow we've got to tie these singular abstract valued signs, we have to tie them together in some kind of a trajectory for our model of the true. So we move on to affective teleosis, B. The signs are evaluated with regard to their relevance for affecting the true. And so we're looking at actually the noema system thinking. That becomes the object of itself. And we imprint the lexical network with a teleosis for affecting the true. We imprint an eschatological teleosis over our abstracted signs that have been raised to signs with a value hue. So the valued signs, this lexical network of valued signs, are given an eschatological trajectory and are formed up a little more refined now, because now we have valued signs plus eschatological trajectory. And now we can get together and form our noetic sign model. And so under the cognitive noema structuring, the triad shows us that we have number 1, our conative valued signs, and the abstract idea as a universal. But then 2, we have the affective relevant mark of teleosis, that mark of the eschatological trajectory for each sign. So we pull those together and form a noetic notion of the true, which represents sign as substance, self as substance. So we move on from number 1, the abstract idea, to number 2, the eschatology of the idea, to number 3, the positing of the actual idea as a sign model for positing. So a tremendous lesson. He really gives us a lot of information, but I think for me the key element for Mulligan's essay is going to be showing us that judgment for Brentano at Aristotle's Dokounta-Threshold is a 6-way dialogue of Judgement, a six-way dialogue of judgment. And understanding that six-way dialogue of judgment really systematizes what Brentano is getting at, and I thought that was the key. So for me, in this particular essay, the second moment of descriptive psychology and the six-way judgment of dialogue and judgment at the Dokounta-Threshold are key. And that will wrap up Mulligan and his essay from 66 to 98.